Do you ever feel like manifestation is just another thing on your to-do list that you don't have time for? Like your spiritual practice is something that you have to do? Honestly, you're not alone because I felt that way too. Something that's really changed my relationship with manifestation is blending it into my lifestyle so that no matter what I'm doing, I'm also manifesting. I call this manifestation as a lifestyle, and it's single handedly made the entire manifestation journey more enjoyable for me. And I've seen my desires show up with a lot more ease. Manifesting as a lifestyle has made manifestation go from feeling like a task to something I just naturally do because it's who I am. If you'd like to learn more about this, I've created a step by step guide for you. I'll link it in my show notes so you can check it out. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Affirmation Addict podcast. Today I'm going to share with you something I've been thinking about a lot, which is the power of neutral energy. We talk a lot about positive energy, we talk a lot about negative energy, but no one really talks about the energy of neutrality. And I think I've kind of figured it out, and it's like a secret key to success. So I'm so excited to share just my findings, my understanding, and a different perspective I'd love to share with you. So I hope you enjoy this episode. You're listening to the Affirmation Addict podcast with Payal Agarwal. This podcast will teach you about the power of affirmations while making manifestation easy and accessible for you in order to enhance your spiritual consciousness. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm so excited to dive into today's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. And I am really excited to expand more upon the idea of what neutral energy even means, because we all know positive energy and we all know negative energy. And the difference between positive and negative energy is one is seen as good, one is seen as bad. But it's almost like it's kind of going off of this idea that there can only be two sides of a story, only good or bad. But there is a middle ground. There is a feeling of neutrality. And I have recently been experiencing this a lot, and I did not know what to call it for a really long time. And it was in this situation where we have this expectation that when we manifest something, we think we're going to be so excited. We think we're going to be so happy and feel so positive and overwhelming with wow and bliss. But I've been manifesting so much recently, and it's not that I'm not happy. I'm truly happy, but I think there's this misconception with positive energy that we have where positive energy feels like you have to be just like beaming. And it feels like if you're not beaming, then you're not being positive. Am I being negative though? No. It just means that there's a middle ground. And that's where I think neutrality comes in. Neutrality, I think, is a state of being that's kind of like our normal. It's not having a reaction. And this isn't a bad thing. But the reason I think that this happens is when you're consciously manifesting something, you are already embodying it. So it's not surprising when it manifests. So if you already know something's going to happen, how can you actually be genuinely like surprised and beaming because you already knew it was going to happen? In true manifestation, I think something that I'm starting to experience is it doesn't necessarily change the way you feel. It doesn't necessarily make you even happier when you manifested something. It's like, oh, that was expected. Yes, I'm super grateful. Grateful doesn't mean positive necessarily. However, it doesn't mean that I am always going to feel this beaming sense of like joy and I'm going to noticeably see that difference. This is really coming from a situation because I have been personally manifesting so many things recently, but I've noticed I feel so normal. And for a little bit, I was so confused. I was like, why does this feel so normal? And why am I not like jumping with excitement? And this is where this energy and this idea of neutrality really starting to coming in. Neutrality doesn't mean you have no emotion. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It just means that there isn't either a positive or a negative label. There's just no label, kind of that lack of reaction in a way. I know this might sound a little bit weird, but I have realized that when I live my daily life from a sense of neutrality, like I feel like neutrality, a great way to kind of find an adjective that we think of is like peace and contentment, not like joy and happiness and excitement, but more so peace and contentment and just that sigh of like, yes, I don't know if I'm making sense here. This is what's going on in my brain. What's really, really helped me. And the reason that this energy of neutrality has been coming up for me so much once I manifest some really huge things in my life is I feel because I've been living my day to day with an energy of neutrality. And this is what I really wanted to share with you. And what I mean by that is that this neutrality of just nothing affects me positively, nothing affects me negatively. And when I say nothing, I'm overgeneralizing. I definitely have my emotions. I get really positive, I get really negative sometimes. But I mean, from an overarching point of view, my goal isn't necessarily to be exuding with overly positive energy. Sometimes I'm okay to have a neutral energy. And recently I've been working a lot, so many good ideas flowing through, and it's been an energy of neutrality. And what really keeps coming to mind is this energy of just peace and contentment. And what I mean by this is when something goes wrong, when maybe my app has a major bug, or maybe a subscriber is having a bug that they can't deal with, something that would generally tend to stress me out or make me have a negative energy feeling. Now, if I can show up in that situation with neutrality, so not having a reaction and really working through it, just logically separating my emotions from it, I have noticed that those things, the solutions manifest way quicker. So this happens in my business when problems come up, when my internet goes out, when we're watching TV, like that can be frustrating. And I know that's such a shallow problem, but that can be really frustrating. Maybe you're really into a show and all of a sudden your internet shuts off. My husband and I both have a tendency to just get quickly frustrated. It won't last long, but it's just like an immediate, like, oh, dang it, frustration. But what if, and we actually did an experiment, the next time it went out, we promised each other we'd stay neutral. And I kid you not, it could be a coincidence, even though I don't believe in coincidences. It literally, the internet kind of connected within seconds. Like it wasn't even a long issue because our energy wasn't feeding into it. And so what I mean by this neutrality energy coming into situations in your life, things that would normally trigger you. I think a big one is family. I think a big one is relationships, and a big one is body image. Things that would normally trigger you, if you could consciously try choosing neutrality. So, when it comes to things like body image or family and relationships, it might feel that your only option is to have a negative reaction or a positive reaction to something. And that's natural. But can you consciously try and pick neutrality? Can you consciously try and choose to have less of a reaction? I'm not saying get to a point of no reaction, but can you try and just detach yourself from the reaction and go into situations with a neutral energy? An example for me is family gatherings, right? Especially now, they don't happen as often. Even if it's a Zoom meeting, I go in with expectations, with labels about certain people in my family. And normally I end up being right. Does that mean I'm affecting their energy, or is that just something that they're doing and I can't control it? So I did an experiment, and on our next family gathering, I went in with the neutral energy. I didn't go in assuming the worst about people. I didn't go in assuming overly amazing things either. I just went in and said, I'm going to be fine. Everyone's going to be happy. It's going to be great. In doing that, truly the experience was so good. I didn't feel drained afterwards. I didn't feel any sort of malice. I didn't feel any ounce of negative energy. And in fact, I felt more positive energy than I normally do ever at large family gatherings with extended family, Tom's extended family, all of that. And it really goes to show that the energy that you're showing up with has an effect on every single thing in your life, whether that's other people, the way the internet treats you, the way your work is going, the way coworkers treat you. So really understanding that not necessarily shooting to feel really positive, but maybe you can shoot to feel of a more neutral energy, that more just contentment, acceptance, allowance, at peace. So this idea of neutral energy has really been working for me. And I want to share a couple of ways or examples that what it looks like, right? I know I've already shared a few, but I wanted to share a couple other situations where neutrality might feel really hard, but just some perspective shifts that might help you. So, one thing I know a lot of you ask me about is relationships, whether you have a husband or a wife, or you're in a relationship, or you're looking for your soulmate, or you just feel the pressure to be in a relationship. So, in that situation, that energy, normally, if you're searching for some sort of relationship, the energy is kind of you're looking, right? You're looking a lot, you're kind of longing. And what if you could switch that longing to, okay, I accept what my life is like right now, and I am choosing acceptance. I'm at peace with where I am right now. Not that where I am is not good enough, where not any types of thoughts where when I manifest a relationship or when I heal my relationship, everything will be better. Not kind of putting your happiness in the future, but allowing acceptance and peace and contentment now, even if it's not exactly what you want, but choosing to accept rather than resist the present moment, I think is really what it comes down to. So that's one situation. Another situation is with your job or your work or your career, where maybe you really don't like your job, but you need it because you need to pay the bills. And I get it. I have totally seen those types of situations. And so you know you're worthy of abundance, you know there's more coming, but you also know like there's a practical sense to things. So honor that. Accept that, hey, I'm grateful I have a job. Maybe it's not my dream job. Maybe I'm not getting paid my worth. I accept that and I'm at peace with it, but I'm also ready for more. This acceptance, I tried this when I worked as a consultant and I hated work. But once I started accepting it, the energy of work just started to shift so dramatically. Things started to fall into place. I would get days off. I would have awesome days with clients at the site. So it was an awesome shift just to feel an acceptance. I think a lot of us in manifestation are scared to accept because we think by accepting our current situation, we're settling. And that is so not true. If you can make peace with, if you can accept and really see where you are with love and truly love, not like, okay, I'm accepting it because Payal told me to. No, if you can accept it truly from a place of, I am at peace because I'm here because I need to learn something and I trust that I'm here for a reason. If you can genuinely accept, you're going to be ready to move past the situation that might not be your ideal situation much faster. And I know it sounds backwards and I know it's contradicting. I'm going to say this almost in every episode. Manifestation is the biggest paradox ever. And that's what I love teaching it because it feels so complex, but it's so simple. If all you can do is start to accept your current reality, not, yep, I deserve this. No, 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 that's not accepting. That's victim mode. If you say, I accept this reality, I'm so grateful for what's going on in my world, even if it's not my ideal, I know my ideal is coming. That is a level of acceptance. That is a level of neutrality that I think so many of us can start to embody because this is a great place to start, whether you're trying to manifest something, but you don't feel like you have the means yet, even though that might not be true. That might be a limiting belief inside of you. So this is a perfect place to start. This might be really applicable if you're in a situation and you don't know where you want to go. A lot of the times in manifestation, people are like, I know I want something different, but I don't know what it is. So start with that type of affirmation. I'm so at peace with where I am, and I'm also ready to be at my next level of life. Something like that will really start to change and channel this energy of neutrality and being at peace without feeling the overwhelming pressure to be positive all the time and without feeling the stress when you feel negative. This type of neutrality is a perfectly balanced way to approach things. And when it comes to energy, right? Positive is like a plus sign, negative is like a minus sign, and neutral, I like to think of it as a dot, right? And so if there's too much pluses and there's too many minuses, there's no room for any dots. So I just like to think of it that there should be a beautiful balance of all of them. And that's where the dots come in. If you can focus on having neutral energy over any of them over positive and over negative energy, if you can have more neutral energy than both of those, I think you will set yourself up for a great, great journey ahead. I know that was a little bit confusing. So, really, what I'm trying to say is if you can have a consistent level of neutral energy, even if it's not always positive, even if it's not always negative, I think you'll be much more set up for aiming for being positive all the time. I think a lot of us are kind of in this misconception that we have to be positive all the time, which is not true, right? We are allowed to feel our feelings. We're allowed to feel the hard ones. We're allowed to feel the good ones. So, day to day, instead of aiming to feel happy all the time and feel super joyful, what if you felt more neutral, at peace? What if you felt peace? And when you actually feel peace, to me, peace is actually what joy is all about. And a kind of side story, we were watching this TV show, right? And it's like a funny one, not like a stupid funny, but in my way, I would call it stupid funny. And Tom is just laughing his butt off. He is cracking up, and I'm smiling at the TV. Like, I'm smiling, but I'm not cracking up. And he was like, how can you not think this is funny? I'm like, I do think this is funny. I just like, for some reason, I'm not able to like bust out laughing. And that isn't always a bad thing. It was so weird for me because normally I'm one who can laugh at anything, and I could have forced it, but naturally I was just smiling and I was so at peace and I was enjoying myself, but I wasn't like on a different level of like busting out laughing. And that wasn't a bad thing. So I hope that kind of puts into perspective that neutral energy doesn't mean you're not happy. It doesn't mean that there's no joy. It's just a different way of expressing it. It's, I think, a much more, I would say, level-headed way of expressing joy. It's a much more sustainable way of feeling happiness and joy because you feel it all the time rather than from a results-oriented point of view. So I really hope this explanation of neutrality and having a neutral energy makes a difference, because the way you react to the situations, the experiences in your life is what shapes the rest of your life, right? The future. That's what kind of shifts your vibration, creates your vibration, and has an effect on the things that you manifest. So instead of having only positive or negative, add neutral into the mix. Play around with neutral. There's no right or wrong way to play with neutral energy. See if that feels better to you. For me, neutral energy was kind of like my golden ticket, right? So many things have unlocked for me once I started playing with having a neutral energy and not feeling guilty for it. I used to feel really guilty for not beaming with joy when something manifested because I was like, wait, I already planned for this. I knew this was coming. I'm happy, but I also knew I did this. Like, I was just like, yeah, I'm grateful and I'm living this and I'm proud of it, right? I wasn't like surprised or over ecstatic. I was just like, hello, universe, like, let's keep this going. And that's where my neutral energy stepped in. So don't feel guilty if you're not always feeling super positive. That's not the necessary requirement. You're allowed to feel neutral. So I really hope this podcast episode was insightful. I hope it resonates with you and what you're going through. I'd love to hear your feedback. And I just wanted to say thank you so, so much for being here. And per usual, I love you and I'm always, always here for you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. So, how did you like today's episode? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed recording it. And before you leave, I wanted to just say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for spending some time with me. If this episode or any of my content has ever inspired you, it would mean the absolute world to me if you could leave a review in the iTunes podcast app and just share this with someone you care about. The more you guys leave reviews and share this with people, the more I am able to create more content for you, and that's what fuels me and keeps me going. I am so genuinely grateful for the time we shared today, and until next time, I'm sending you lots of love and lots of healing energy. Bye!